All right, today we're going to put a historical villain on trial. You know, for centuries, one man has been blamed for single-handedly destroying a golden age. But what if the history books got it all wrong? Today, we're reopening a case that's basically been closed for 1,300 years. Just listen to that sentence. It's so final. It's the one line that has completely defined the legacy of Caliph Sulaiman bin Abdullah Malik. It's the soundbite that turned him into a monster, the guy who murdered heroes and just strangled an entire era of glory. That is a powerful accusation. And you know what? We're going to put it to the test. So to really get how serious this charge is, we have to travel back in time. Let's go to the year 714 CE. This was the absolute peak of the Umayyad Caliphate. We're talking about an empire at the height of its power. For them, the whole world was full of possibility.
What's just wild when you look at this timeline is the sheer speed of it all. I mean, in just a few short years, Umayyad armies were marching from the shores of the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the borders of China. This wasn't just simple growth, it was a straight-up explosion of territory.
And then, just like that, the momentum, it just stops. The great campaigns, they grind to a halt. The advance is over. And if you pick up most history books, they'll tell you there's one person to blame, the new Caliph Sulaiman.
So the whole case against Sulaiman and really rests on the tragic fates of the very generals who were leading this incredible expansion. So, what exactly is he accused of? Well, let's break down the charges.
I mean, the accusations are just brutal. The story that's been told for centuries is that Sulaiman, driven by this toxic mix of pure jealousy and a love for luxury, took out his best generals one by one. The very architects of the Golden Age were systematically destroyed.
The history books, they paint this really simple picture, right? Sulaiman, the one-dimensional bad guy. But according to Muhammad Qasim Butt, who wrote our source material, the truth is, well, it's a lot more complicated. He argues this whole version of the story might just be a convenient lie.
Let's start our little investigation here with the case of Qutayba, the conqueror of Turkmenistan. Now, the key to understanding what happened to him isn't simple revenge. It's all about raw, high-stakes politics.
Can you just imagine the tension in the room? I mean, the very man Qutayba had been plotting against was now his boss, the most powerful man in the entire empire. He knew that kings do not tolerate rivals, and he had just made himself a very, very powerful enemy.
So here's the crucial point. Qutayba wasn't actually a victim of Sulaiman's aggression, no. According to this analysis, he was a victim of his own fear. He gambled on a rebellion, pretty much assuming the worst was coming for him, and he lost. His own actions, not some order from the Caliph, led to his downfall.
Okay, now let's turn to the most famous and honestly the most tragic case of all, the execution of Muhammad bin Qasim, the brilliant young conqueror of Sind. For a lot of people, this is the smoking gun that proves Sulaiman's guilt. See, this wasn't some cold, calculated execution. It was a tragedy that was born from a lie. When a false complaint reached the Caliph's palace, he flew into a rage and ordered his general's arrest. But that order, it spiraled into something much, much darker, and it ended in murder. A horrific outcome, absolutely, but a very different story than a premeditated plot.
And then came this devastating aftermath. When the princess later confessed that she had lied just to get revenge on her father's conqueror, Sulaiman was filled with regret. This isn't the portrait of a ruthless villain, is it? It's the picture of a man who is tormented by a fatal error in judgment.
So if Sulaiman wasn't directly responsible for all these tragedies, why is he remembered as the bad guy? Well, according to our source's author, it's because his reputation was intentionally destroyed. We're talking about a character assassination, and it had a clear political motive.
It's a really powerful question. I mean, think about it. How do you tear down an entire era that you dislike? How do you discredit a whole dynasty? You don't attack an idea, no. You find a person to blame.
By creating this perfect villain, later historians were able to craft a really simple, compelling story. You have these noble, heroic generals, and they're destroyed by a decadent, jealous king. It's a powerful narrative, for sure. It's easy to remember, easy to repeat. But it might not be the truth.
Look, yes, these terrible things happened on Sulaiman's watch, but as our source asks, does that make him responsible for all of them? It's a question that really forces us to think about how we assign blame. We have to try and distinguish between what a leader directly causes, what they just allow to happen, and what simply happens under their rule. And honestly, that's a question not just for the history books, but for how we judge leaders today.